I love you more every day. You look amazing in that outfit. You make my life so much better.
Today, we're going to talk about The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. The premise of this book is actually really simple. The way that people express and receive love can be different. Gary calls these ways of expressing and receiving love languages. Speaking the wrong love language doesn't effectively fill up the other person's love tank. How do we fill up the love tank of the people that we care the most about? That is what we're going to talk about in this video. We're going to first walk through the 5 love languages and its possible dialects so that you understand what it's all about. Then we're going to show you how you can figure out your love language and the love languages of the people that you care most about. Let's dive in.
You see this? All this shit. This is not your fault. Look at me, son. It's not your fault.
I know.
It's not your fault.
I know.
No, you don't. It's not your fault.
I know.
It's not your fault.
All right.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Don't fuck with me. It's not your fault.
Don't fuck with me, all right? Don't fuck with me, Sean. Not you.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Words have power. Have you ever been in a situation where someone just says something and it just hits home? You're not the person that normally cries, but it just hits you in a special way. Spoken words have meaning, and that's what we're going to talk about for this first love language, words of affirmation. The usage of verbal expression, e.g. words, to validate, e.g. affirm, someone else. A person with words of affirmation as their primary love language places a lot of value on what you say to them.
Okay, that would be it.
Okay, what does it say?
Words of affirmation! It says, actions don't always speak louder than words. If this is your love language, unsolicited compliments mean the world to you. Hearing the words, I love you are important. Hearing the reasons behind that love sends your spirit skyward. Really does, really. Insults can leave you shattered and are not easily forgotten. Kind, encouraging, and positive words are truly life-giving. So true. How did you know this about me?
What is really interesting to me is that, like languages, love languages have dialects. For example, words of affirmation has at least 6 dialects. Let's play a game. I'm gonna read some words of affirmation to you, and let's see if you can guess the dialect.
Thank you so much for making dinner tonight. It was delicious. I really appreciate how hard you work all the time. You are amazing.
Can you guess the dialect? This dialect of words of affirmation focuses on expressing thanks and acknowledging effort. We call this appreciation and gratitude. All right, let's try another one.
You look amazing in that outfit. Hey, I love your YouTube video. Your creativity is really inspiring.
This dialect is simply called compliments and offers verbal recognition for qualities and actions.
I know you're nervous about this presentation, but you got this. You know, you're stronger than you think.
This dialect focuses on motivation and support. We call this encouraging words.
I love you more every day. You make my life so much better.
These might be obvious, but these are straight declarations of affection. They're called loving statements. All right, last one. Let's see if you can get this.
I'm so proud of my partner for their hard work. They inspire me every day. My partner is the most incredible person I've ever met, and I am grateful that they have chosen to be part of my life.
So these might feel a little different than the ones before. That is because some people enjoy being affirmed in front of other people. For example, through social media, or shout outs, or verbally in groups. This dialect of words of affirmation is called public praise. I have to say I'm getting a little emotional saying all these words of affirmation out loud. I didn't really grow up in a household where a lot of words of affirmation was used, and perhaps this is just common in Chinese households. Who knows, right? Acknowledging is that words are important. It's important for us to just think to ourselves, in the last 2 weeks, have we consciously given words of affirmation to the people that we care about? If we haven't, why haven't we? How do people know that we care about them if we never tell them? Do we expect them to read our minds? They can't, right? Then it is important for us to acknowledge them and to tell them that they are loved and cared about. Or otherwise, they don't know. They just don't know. So, I don't know. All right. Back to the normal agenda. We talked a lot about the words of affirmation. I think it's important to note that words of affirmation needs to be given sincerely and honestly, right? Or else it can just backfire. How do we make sure that our words of affirmation is sincere and honest when it might not be our primary love language? It takes practice. Practice makes perfect. I found this amazing clip that I want to share with you all when I was doing research. When I grow up, I want to say amazing, sincere things like this lady.
Dear Ann Perkins, sperm that is worthy of your perfect eggs does not grow on trees. And you beautiful tropical fish. You're smart as a whip, and you're cool under pressure. And you're such a good friend. You're a beautiful, talented, brilliant, powerful musk ox. Thank you, ox.
We previously talked about words of affirmation, where words mean more than actions. Well, for some people, it can actually be the complete opposite, right? Actions mean more than words. For these people, their primary love language is called acts of service. What is actually most interesting about Gary's description of acts of service is that it's not just about doing anything for the other person. There are specific things that you can do for them that are most important to them. And by doing those very specific acts of service, their love tank begins to fill. While I was reading this book, I thought my primary love language was acts of service, and it is not. Because of that, I was doing one of the exercises of the book, which is to write down a list of activities that when someone does them for you, you feel are genuine expressions of love. As I wrote this list, I noticed a theme. All the activities that felt like genuine expressions of love to me are activities that save me time or mental capacity. For me, when a different person consciously do these actions for me and they consciously take this weight off me, I feel loved. I feel like they know me. They understand what matters to me. They are here to genuinely help me out. What is really interesting is that on the flip side, if someone does something for me and it wasn't on this mental priority list and I never really planned to prioritize it anyway, that act of service, which is an act of service because they are helping me out, doesn't really fill up my love tank as much as if they did an action that was on that priority list. When someone says their primary love language is physical touch, it shouldn't automatically translate to sex. Just like every other love language, there are also dialects for physical touch. I'm not going to cover these in detail, but some examples of dialects include comforting touch, or playful touch, or protective touch, restorative touch, affectionate touch, romantic touch, expressive touch. The lesson to be learned here is that there are nuances in every single love language. Languages are not very one-dimensional. The next love language I want to talk about is quality time, aka giving someone undivided attention, which is what I'm hoping you're giving me right now. There is at least 2 primary dialects for quality time that I feel like it's worth talking about, and that is quality conversations and quality activities. For people whose love language is quality time and has the dialect quality conversation, it means that these people are looking for empathetic dialogue where 2 people are sharing their experiences, thoughts, and feelings in an uninterrupted context. 2 people consciously made a decision to spend time and getting to know each other by talking. On the other hand, quality activities are mainly centered around the activity itself. The activity itself creates a sense of togetherness and belonging. For people whose love language is quality activities, you want that person to walk away with this feeling like, hey, my partner really cares about me. They are willing to do something that I enjoy that they might not enjoy, and honestly, they did it for me. The last love language is a special one for me. As a person that typically does not like receiving physical gifts, after reading this book, I am convinced that my primary love language is receiving gifts. As expected, there's many dialects to this love language, receiving gifts. There's sentimental gifts versus practical gifts, surprise gifts versus requested gifts, material gifts versus like experiential gifts. The thing that is most interesting to me is that there is a dialect, which is tangible gifts versus intangible gifts. Despite never having an affinity for tangible gifts, although, I mean, you can give me a Birkin if you really want to, right? After reading this book, I realized that my love language is actually intangible gifts. Specifically, there's an intangible gift called the gift of self, or the gift of presence. The gift of self or the gift of presence is defined by the physical presence in a time of crisis. So in other words, being there when the other person really needs you. After reading that description, I immediately knew that this is my primary love language. We'll talk a little bit later on how to identify what is your primary love language, but I'll give you a preview, which is typically the way that we want to receive love is also the way that we naturally show love. That's the thing that really clicked to me, is that when there's a big event, good or bad, happening to the people that I care about, my default response is that I physically want to be there. When I reflect and think about the times in which I feel the most hurt unintentionally by people, is when people didn't do that for me. Wanting someone to be there is fully decoupled from the fact of whether or not I can personally handle that situation on my own. It's not about that. It's that when there is a big event, as defined by me and whatever criteria that I have, I feel cared about when someone else is there for me. I'm going on these random rants, reflecting, and maybe it's not interesting to you at all, but we have successfully covered all 5 love languages. It's important to acknowledge that Gary suggests that people have 1 or 2 dominant love languages, but everyone is capable of receiving and giving love through all 5 languages, but the impact may vary. So if you take me, for example, right, my primary love language is receiving gifts, specifically gift of self. My second love language is acts of service, specifically things that are a priority of mine that I've been procrastinating. So if you gifted me a Birkin bag or a Lamborghini or flowers and tell me I'm the best every day, I'm definitely not gonna complain, and I definitely feel love. But it's gonna have a different effect than if you went with me to an event that I'm extremely stressed out about, or you deal with something I've been procrastinating for, the last 2 weeks. The impact of those actions, even though all of them are one singular action, just weighs more if they're in the right love language. That's the important takeaway. Things that fit my love language will fill up my love tank faster. You need to know the other person's love language. How do I know my own love language, and how do I know other people's love language? It definitely helps reading this book. It definitely helps taking personality tests, but I think that there are a few questions that you can ask yourself to understand what is your love language. The first question is, how do you express love? When you care about someone and you love someone, how do you naturally show that? The actions that you take to express love is typically reflective of what your love language is. The second thing to think about is, what do you complain the most about to your loved ones? What is this thing that you nag your loved one about, or you get frustrated with them about? Those might be a hint to what currently doesn't make us feel as great and what we are missing. And maybe it helps us identify the miscommunication in love languages that might exist in a relationship. The last one is, what are the things that you get hurt the most about? Kind of giving my example, like I feel most hurt when they weren't with me at a time where I feel like I want them there. So by understanding that, I realized that gift of self is my primary love language. And now I'm able to articulate that. In summary, a lot of reflection will help you figure out your love languages if a quiz doesn't help. These are also the similar tools for you to identify what the love language of another person is. Pay attention to how they express love. What are they trying to do to express love to you, regardless of whether or not it is effective? Listen to what they complain about. Their complaints are there for a reason. They're trying to probably tell you what they're missing. Observe what makes them feel hurt or unappreciated, because that is what is missing. If you can't really figure that out through their actions, you can ask them directly. Ask them directly what their love language is. What can you do for them to make them feel loved, wanted, and appreciated? You can treat this like everything else in life. You can test and watch how they respond to different expressions of love. Test out some acts of service. Test out some words of affirmation of different dialects, and just see which ones make them feel most loved. Trial and error always wins, right? The theme is observe. Observe and you will figure it out. I do want to do an interesting exercise with you before we wrap up, which is we're going to review a fight together. We're going to see from this fight if we can pick up some hints about what are the characters' love language. We are going to watch a clip from the movie The Break-Up, which I have not watched, but I saw a brief introduction to this clip and it really hit home. So, all right.
Well, I'm gonna go do the dishes.
Cool.
It'd be nice if you helped me.
Not sure if this is an indication that her love language is act of service, but I think that right now, if this person has chosen to get up and help her with the dishes, that would be an expression of love.
No problem. Get them a little bit later. I'm just going to hit the streets there for a little bit.
Gary, come on. I don't want to do them later. Let's just do them now. Take 15 minutes.
Oh, honey, I am so exhausted. I just honestly want to relax for a little bit. If I could just sit here, let my food digest, and just try to enjoy the quiet for a little bit. Get some. That's what happens.
Enjoy the quiet a little bit, because that's definitely going to be the right thing to say.
And we can clean the dishes tomorrow.
Gary, you know, I don't like waking up to a dirty kitchen.
Who cares?
I care, all right? I care. I busted my ass all day cleaning this house and then cooking that meal, and I worked today. It would be nice if you said thank you and helped me with the dishes.
Ooh, so this is interesting. She's looking for words of affirmation to acknowledge the effort that she's put into the house. Him saying thank you is acknowledgement, and him helping is also acknowledgement of the fact that this is an important thing for her.
Fine. I'll help you do the damn dishes.
Oh, come on. You know what?
That's not going to work out, because that attitude is not probably the right attitude just from personal experiences, but it doesn't make people feel acknowledged, right? Yeah, it's not going to end well.
But no, that's not what I want.
You just said that you want me to help you do the dishes.
I want you to want to do the dishes.
Why would I want to do dishes? Why?
See, that's my whole point.
Let me see if I'm following this. Okay. Are you telling me that you're upset because I don't have a strong desire to clean dishes?
No, I'm upset because you don't have a strong desire to offer to do the dishes.
You don't want to tell people how to love you. You just want them to love you the way you want to be loved. So if acts of service, like washing the dishes, or acknowledgement of her effort in doing the chores is how she feels fulfilled and loved, then you don't want to ask for that, right? And so he's like, yo, I'm doing what you're telling me to do. That doesn't fulfill it.
Just did.
After I asked you.
Jesus, Brooke, you're acting crazy again.
Don't you call me crazy. I am not crazy.
I didn't call you crazy.
Just
I didn't
did.
call you crazy. No, I didn't. I said you're acting crazy.
You know what, Gary? I asked you to do one thing today, one very simple thing, to bring me 12 lemons, and you brought me 3.
Damn it, if I knew that it was going to be this much trouble, I would have brought home 24 lemons, or even 100 lemons. I know what I wish? I wish everyone that was at that goddamn table had their own little private bag of lemons.
It's not about the lemons.
Well, that's all you're talking about.
I'm just saying it'd be nice if you did things that I asked. It would be even nicer if you did things without me having to ask you.
Just giving me flashbacks to all my fights in my life. She doesn't feel love because he is going through the motions and not understanding what these actions mean to her. They're just having a conversation on completely different planes.
I was working today and I made that meal, and you could have thought to yourself, you know, you could have said, yeah, I think I'm going to get Brooke some flowers.
You said on our very first date that you don't like flowers, that they're a waste of money.
Every girl likes flowers, Gary.
You say that you don't like flowers. I'm supposed to take that to mean that you do like flowers?
No, this is not about, you're not getting it. You're not getting this, Gary. Okay, it's not about the lemons. It's not about the flowers. It's not about the dishes.
She's just trying to tell him, these are ways in which I would have felt loved. If you did the dishes, it would have filled in my love tank a little bit. If you brought back the amount of lemons that I asked you to, it would have made me feel love. If you got me flowers, it would have shown me that you love me. It's not one specific action. It's that he's not doing any actions in which she feels loved, but she doesn't know how to articulate herself. And so she's giving these examples of things, and it is definitely confusing this man.
It's just, how many times do I have to drop hints about the ballet?
You know I can't stay. Brooke, come here. We talked about the damn ballet. I hate the goddamn ballet.
Fourth example, the ballet. She's like going through the whole love languages, one for each love language. Almost like, give me flowers, receiving gifts. Go to the ballet, quality time. Do the dishes, acts of service. Like, tell me that you're grateful that I've done all these chores and that you're happy. Words of affirmation. She's like, any one of these love languages will work. Just do any of them. That's kind of funny.
It's not about you loving the ballet, Gary. It's about the person that you love loves the ballet, and you want to spend time with that person.
Not when you're at the ballet?
Okay, forget the ballet. Forget the ballet. We don't go anywhere together.
We just went to Ann Arbor together.
Come on, man. I did that for you. How do you show up for me?
I'm up on the bus.
Ooh. Before we see his blow up, Ann Arbor doesn't count. Just because they spent the time together might not mean quality time. So ballet might mean quality time for her, but going to Ann Arbor does not mean quality time.
Every goddamn day for you.
Come on.
I'm busting my ass to be the best tour guide in the damn city so I can make enough money to support both of us, and hopefully you won't have to work one day.
I want to work.
All I ask, Brooke, is that you show a little bit of appreciation. That I just get 20 minutes to relax when I come home instead of being attacked with questions and nag the whole damn.
He also doesn't feel loved. He's trying to articulate what he needs to feel love. He wants to feel appreciated for the effort that he is putting into work to support the family.
You think that I nag you?
That's all you do. All you do is nag me. The bathroom's a mess. Your belt is a mess. Hey, Gary, you should probably go work out. Nothing I ever do is ever good enough. I just want to be left the hell alone.
Ooh, that's not going to end well. He's definitely not feeling loved in this relationship and not appreciated and not acknowledged for the work that he is putting in the relationship. By trying to be the best tour guide, he's trying to show love so that she doesn't need to work, right? To provide for her. That's his way of showing love. She probably doesn't receive love that way because she's like, well, I want to work. You know, the way of expressing and receiving love is different amongst them too.
Really? Is that what you want, Gary? Is that what you want?
Yeah.
That's what you want?
Yeah.
Fine, great. Do whatever the hell you want. You leave your socks all over this house, dress like a pig, play your stupid ass video game. I don't care. I'm done.
What?
I am done. I don't deserve this. I really do not deserve this. I deserve somebody who gives a shit. I'm not spending one more second of this life with some inconsiderate prick. You're a prick.
No, that was the end. Honestly, it definitely feels like the trajectory of a lot of fights I've been personally in. I think I need to do a more careful job, especially in high tension situations. Like
in fights and whatnot, to recognize and acknowledge what people are saying. People are just struggling to tell each other what they need or not communicating it well. This book, The 5 Love Languages, is a framework in which we can use to understand these types of situations better. It's one tool that we can have in our toolkit to understand the people we love, the people that are most important to us. It is important to put in effort in improving the relationships with the people that you care about. But man, that fight really hits close to home. All the fights I've had in my life and all the signals I might have missed. All right, well, thank you so much for watching this video. See you next time.